Hi, my name is Brian Hudspeth, and I'm a student in the graduate program at Laterno University. What you're about to see is a role play and a role play only, and it's for the purpose of intergenerational therapy. Hi, Charlene, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good, good. I got the message that you had called and wanted to set up an appointment this time for you, and you requested specifically for this appointment to be with just you and not with your son. So tell me what's up.
Well, I'm thinking that he has those panic attacks because, I guess, of me.
Really, what makes you think that?
Well, because I've had them, and I think he is. Of course, he's seen them. So I guess I think I guess I've done this to him.
Well, one of the things, and there'll be a good opportunity for us to explore the genogram that y'all did. But one of the things that I think is really important to emphasize is that as parents, the majority of us, and I definitely, in visiting with you previously, I think we do the best that we can in all areas. And there are certainly children who grow up in families where there may be a family member that experiences panic attacks who may not necessarily do that. You also have to understand that we're in an interesting age and time. We've come so far with medicine and understanding things, but we don't fully understand all areas of mental health, and we're learning more and more that there are areas that actually have biological components that wouldn't necessarily point to the fact that this would have been something that was modeled by you. So I don't want you to put any blame on yourself for this. I think that what we need to do is find out how we can get some relief for you and for him. I noticed, and let me see, excuse me. Before you came in today, I was reviewing your genogram a little bit, and when we had the appointment previously with your son, and I noticed on here that you had marked anxiety with your son. You had also marked that you had experienced anxiety. Then you had also marked here under your mom. Tell me a little bit about history with your family, and specifically in this area of anxiety. Tell me what you know.
Well, I guess I knew later, but I think my mom also, and she has told me she had the panic attacks,
Mm-hmm.
just not being able to breathe and just chest pounding and like that, and been to the hospital. And I think at that point, I guess I was kind of young. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but later, of course, when I started having that myself, and of course I went to the hospital and it explained to me about panic attacks, and I kind of realized, I guess, that that's what was happening with her too.
What do you remember thinking back in your child's mind during that time when it happened to mom? What do you remember? Do you remember what you felt or what you experienced when she was going through some of that?
Yeah, scared.
Scared? What was your fear? What can you remember what you thought?
Um, well, she was sick or having to go to the hospital. That was just scary because first time, of course, there was an ambulance and just there's something bad happening. I think
Okay.
I kind of remembered that.
What age do you remember when that began? Or at least in your mind, when's the first time
I'm
you
thinking
remember?
5, 6 years old.
Okay, and did that seem like it continued through most of your childhood and adolescence?
Yeah, I mean it wasn't like all the time, but it happened.
Okay, all right. Um, any other history in your family?
Well, oh yeah, yes. In fact, I talked to my mom about that,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me that my grandmother, her mother, had problems like that too.
Okay, all right. Um, as again, what this is about is, it's not about looking at finding blame or assigning blame. It's looking at finding something that's going to work for everybody. Um, Whether it's biological or whether or not it comes from modeling, or whether we find out there's something completely different that it comes from. It's still about finding that solution. Um, we do learn things, and we won't exclude that couldn't be part of it. There was a scene in the movie. If you ever saw the movie The Breakfast Club, there was a scene in that movie where this one boy was talking about the high expectations of his father, and he felt like he could never meet up with those expectations. And he made a statement similar to, "I'm never going to be like him." And then there is a girl there who said, "Oh, you will. It will happen. It just happens." And, we find characteristics of our parents in ourselves when we get older. I think most people will say that. And again, whether it's from modeling, whether it's something biological or some third thing that we maybe haven't even discovered yet, sometimes you see patterns that run in families. And did you notice any similarities when you were talking with your mom, when you were talking, or when she talked with you about your grandmother? Were there any patterns to that? Were there any similarities?
I think so. I think there could be, stress, extra stress going on, or could be financial or emotional, or yeah.
Okay, so the one commonality that you see is stress, something that's going on that's putting some kind of pressure somewhere that hasn't been there in the past. Do you see that also as being the case with your son?
Yes, I think so. There's with his vision problem and his father passing away. Yes, and then sometimes he's not able to do some of the things that his friends can do, like driving or you know, even trying to sometimes read an assignment for school or
Okay, so some social pressures, school pressures. Okay, and that maybe makes sense. Um, One of the things that I have used before in working with people sometimes is education. Sometimes just knowing that information is very important. Have you ever experienced when you had an anxiety attack? Have you ever experienced feeling like I'm going to die or there's something incurable going on? And sometimes understanding what's happening to you can help. I'm not going to pretend it'll make it all go away, but sometimes it will help. Um, Years ago, I had the opportunity to hear the former football player Earl Campbell. I got the opportunity to hear him talk about the anxiety that he suffered. Um, and he talked about how lots of times the team would come running down the tunnel and out onto the field. And he said that he often was one of the last ones to come out. And he said people thought, that he was trying to hot dog things. And he said, yet in fact, he was back in the tunnel with an oxygen mask because he was having an anxiety attack. And he talked about how it was like trying to pick up an egg. That you try to pick it up and it would slither one way and you'd get it and it would go another. Anxiety is a lot like that. And he also referred to it as a chameleon. It can kind of change its face and change the symptomology. But the main thing is it is something that if we educate ourselves to know it's going to slither this way or that, or it may be different this time than the last time. Like last time, maybe it was feeling some pressure in your chest and being concerned about your heart. And maybe the next time, it may be a throbbing in your temple that will scare somebody like, oh my gosh, do I have a tumor or something? To understand that anxiety can do that, to know all of its little tricks. Sometimes that education is what's really important. What I'd like to do is I'd like for us to meet again, and I would like you to bring Nick back in with you, and let's begin some of this education. We're also going to talk more about family patterns with this. Have you shared with him about your mom and his grandmother very much?
Well, just uh, my mom. I didn't really know about.
Just found out about grandma. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe next time you're in, or between now and the next appointment, share that with him. And we're going to talk a little bit about how this works generationally, how sometimes these things will come together in the next generation and we'll see those same kinds of patterns. So understanding and education is a big component in this. And I look forward to seeing you next week with Nick. All right,
Okay,
thank you.